everybody. This is Scott Hudspeth with Agent Mastermind, coming to you live from the headquarters right here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I have a dear friend of mine and also a real estate coach on the call with us today who's been in the business. You know what? I'm going to let him introduce himself. Just an amazing guy. I've got to get to know him personally. He's got a beautiful family and just an all-around great guy. And he's been on once with us last year, and he covered the 6 basic skills. And man, I got to tell you, Robert, I've literally incorporated all 6 of these into my business, because if you don't have one of them, you could be really missing out on literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, man, I really welcome you back. And not only that, Robert has agreed to be on the call with us more often, actually, and share his expertise and some coaching skills that he's formulated and some of the results that he's gotten from his clients that he works with. So, man, brother, I'm so excited to have you on the call. So what do you got for us today, man?
Well, Scott, first of all, I want to thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we got great sound here today. Just got a new headset. But what we're going to cover today are the 10 reasons why real estate agents fail. And I don't bring this up to be negative. Why I bring this up is as we start going through some of these 10 things, I want you to kind of picture if you were home watching like a Dr. Oz. If he's going to give you 10 foods that you should stay away from, that's good information to know. He's not being negative. He's just saying, hey, to have a better performance or for your body to look and feel better, stay away from these 10 foods. I'm going to show you 10 things that are absolute cancer for your business, and you need to stay away from them. Then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to show you 6 things that we call the 6 basic skills that you have to do these 6 if you want a long and lasting career. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 10 things to stay away from and 6 things that you must do.
So I am getting a couple people saying that it sounds like you're speaking from far away. And I don't know why that is. I thought it was just me, but I guess it's not.
Do you want to take over while I call in for a second, Scott? Do you want me to do that?
Absolutely. So,
okay,
so Robert's going to call in here. Okay, cool. So give us just 1 second, guys. Robert's going to actually call in to go to webinar. I apologize for having a little technical difficulty. No big deal, but I've known Robert for quite a while. Hey, Robert, if you click the audio on the go-to meeting screen, there's a little button that says telephone there.
Okay, let me get back to there. There we are. Right
there's audio, and then click telephone, and then it'll give you the numbers to call. It'll kill the microphone. Okay, it looks like he did that. So he'll be back in just 1 second. It just takes a second to call in. So how is so what we're going to cover today is the 6 core values of a successful business. I won't even say real estate business, because when you have these 6 core values, yes, some of them relate to the actual real estate business, but for the most part, once you understand these 6 core values, you'll be able to use them in helping your referral partners, your CPAs, financial planners, anybody that has a small business. These are just so important to your business. We're going to actually, Robert's going to share with you a report card, and I would absolutely love to see you guys fill this report card out and submit it on the Agent Mastermind. And in fact, I'm just going to actually bring that up. For all you people joining us for the first time,
I'm back.
There we go. Excellent, man. Excellent. That's good. Yeah, that's a lot better, man. Thank you. Awesome.
So it's the phone. The phone is the secret. I got the new headset that goes in the computer. So I was trying to do without the phone and go through the computer, but phone's best. Okay.
Okay, cool. And it might just be that you had to choose that actual that microphone on the audio section of the. There's a section on there that lets you choose which microphone you're using. So we can
got it
that later. Cool.
So let's go back. Let's talk about what we're going to cover in today's workshop. So I'm going to start off, if you've never met me before, I'm going to give you a quick intro on myself. Then we'll go over the top 10 reasons why most real estate agents fail. We'll follow that up with 6 basic skills for success. And these are things, again, you have to master if you want that long and lasting real estate career. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a real estate report card. So if you have a piece of paper, something to write with, make sure you grab it. And then at the end, we'll answer any questions that you have. So let's just jump right in here. Let's start with the real estate experience. I got licensed to sell real estate back October 19th, 1998. So I'm in my 16th year I started with Coldwell Banker. I was up for Rookie of the Year for the whole state of Florida. I didn't quite finish my first year there. I moved on, and I went and spent about 4.5 years at RE/MAX. I was the broker manager of a company, an independent office, and then I started on my own independent office in 2004, and that's where I'm at currently. Since then, I've been coaching and training and mentoring agents for about 12 years now, and my team is sold and closed. At the end of 2012, we had already reached over 1,200 homes, $250 million in production. And then I got a call from Business Leader Magazine. They voted me one of their top 50 entrepreneurs for 2012, which was a nice honor. Yeah, it was a cool award and a very nice honor. So Scott knows I'm also do a lot of video marketing. Video changed my life. I started doing it 3 years ago, and all I knew how to do was point the camera and shoot. I didn't know anything about dumping footage, editing, but I took a leap of faith and got into video marketing, started a show called Alexa Realty 411, and here we are 3 years later. That show's been seen in 131 countries, and I'm doing things like hosting webinars with people like Scott and meeting people like Carl White. So I'll tell you, video, if you haven't jumped into that, I know Scott's great at it. I've seen a lot of his stuff. So what do you think, Scott? Video marketing, the wave of the future here?
You know, everybody that you know, it's so funny to hear you say it changed your life. I honestly have to say that the only reason I'm on this call right now is because of video marketing. I started it way back when Carl White said, hey, video marketing is where it's at. Very few people do it. People get to know you, like you, and trust you, and I honestly can say that that's why I'm here. Everywhere I go, every event I attend, people know me that have never met me. They feel like they know me, and I tell you, if some way, shape, or form, we're going to be doing more calls on video marketing, but if some way, shape, or form you can just bust through the fear of video marketing and just do it. Now, Robert, I got to tell you, man, your videos are off the charts amazing. So congratulations on that, man.
Well, thanks. But one thing I will say on video marketing, and this is just business in general, not so amazing when we started. You know, my wife, when we look back at our first shows 3 years ago, they were so bad, they were almost laughable, but we didn't quit. You know, we knew what we were going to do. We believed in it, and we stuck with it. And a lot of this is just not quitting and just perfecting and making small changes and doing it again and again and again, right?
Right on. Absolutely, absolutely.
So I am married with a family, so I always show the picture. There's the family. I have my wife, Janine. We've known each other, it seems like forever, since she's been 16, and I was 22. I'm 45 now, so I've known my wife for 23 years. We've been married for 11, and we have 2 boys together. So just show the picture of the family. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes. I want to tell you about an aha moment that changed everything for me. I was home one night, and I was watching television, and I saw an interview with Steve Jobs right before he passed away. And it was probably one of the last interviews that he gave. But whoever was doing the interview asked him a question. He said, Steve, we know you're on borrowed time. And for our audience listening, if you could tell them anything, your greatest piece of advice, what would it be? And he said, you know, if I could leave behind just one piece of advice, and that's when I sit up, you know, Steve Jobs is going to leave you one piece of advice out of everything he could tell you. He said, do what you love, because the only way to do great work is to love what you do.
Amen.
And so I started thinking about what I love to do, and that's where the real estate coaching came in. But for those of you on the call, really your purpose is to follow your passion. And this is a little formula. If you do what you love, you do great work. And if you do great work, eventually you get paid well. So if you can find a way to fall in love with this career, and just do great work, and always do great work. You never have to worry about commissions because they'll follow you. You'll get the referrals,
Absolutely.
And they'll come.
No question.
So let's get into these 10 reasons why most real estate agents, they just don't make it. So I'm curious, what happens to this person, right? Let's think of the day where you first get your real estate license. This is probably how all of us felt, right? As you're walking out and you just saw that you passed. And then it's 6 months later, that same agent is this. I quit.
Yeah.
I might be dead. What happened? What happened in 6 months that 50% of the people don't even make it through their first 6 months. 80% won't even make it through their first year. But in the first 6 months, 50% of these people, they're out. So I'm going to give you my 10 reasons. And if you're guilty of any of these 10, these are things you have to stop because they're causing cancer in your business. And we don't want cancer in your business. We want your business to be cancer-free so it can just grow and it can flourish. Number one is unrealistic expectations. Why did you become a realtor in the first place? I've interviewed hundreds of agents for my brokerage over the last 10 years. And here's what I hear. You know, I got my real estate license really because I like looking at houses. Does that mean you're going to be a good realtor because you like looking at houses? That's a fraction of what you do. Just a fraction. That might be 1% of what you do. How about this? I got in the business because my realtor was lousy. We've all heard that. Or the new one is with all these reality shows on TV. I love watching HGTV, or I heard it was easy money. So my question for you, write this down, is why did you get into this in the first place? What gets you out of bed in the morning to even want to do this? What's the why? There's a great YouTube video, a man by the name of Simon Sinek put it out, and he put always start with the why. It's about 18 minutes long, but it's incredible.
That video changed my life, man. That one little thing. I mean, when you figure out what your why is, everything else comes into place. I highly recommend. We'll have to post that link. I'll post that link on the Facebook page so you guys can all watch this. It's an amazing reason why we do what we do, and you need to find that why.
And you know, Scott, I know you work late at night because I've talked to you late at night. It probably doesn't even feel like you're working. And the same thing with me. I don't mind building these PowerPoints or doing these slides or doing my research, and my wife will get up at sometimes at 1:30 in the morning. She's like, are you coming to bed? And I don't even know it's 1:30 in the morning because I love what I do.
Right.
I don't know.
Somebody asked me how many hours I work. Somebody asked me the other day, like, how many hours you work a week? And I go, I don't work any.
That's great.
When you're doing what you love, that you're good at, and it makes you money, it's not work.
Man, I'm going to have to use that. I'm writing that one down. So, yeah, so number one, unrealistic expectations. Start with the why. Why do you do this? Number two, this is a biggie. Just absolutely no plan. They get into the business. There's so many different directions, but my question to you is, what's the plan? Do you have direction, system, structure? What type of weekly activity plan do you have? What systems have you built in place for your business? Do you spend time every week working not only in your business, but on your business? And that's huge. A lot of real estate agents, they're so busy going out showing the next home that they'll miss an office meeting or a training. Or all they do is spend time working in their business. They never block out a few hours a week to work on their marketing or on their business. And you know, when I think of systems and I think of structure, no matter what you think of McDonald's, think about this for a minute. I'm from Tampa, Florida. You could go to Tampa, Florida, and you could have a cheeseburger made by a 16-year-old kid. Then you could drive all the way up to New York State and have a cheeseburger made by a 65 or 70-year-old retiree. Or you could even travel. I've been through Canada, Vancouver, and you can have a cheeseburger made there. And you know what? They all taste the same. And they're all made in different parts of the country or the world by people of all different ages. But McDonald's, their systems are spot on. So my question for you is, what type of systems have you built in place in your real estate business? And that's huge. Do you have a plan, systems, direction, structure? This is future classes down the road, but we have to build more systems into our business and really have a plan. Here's a great quote from John Maxwell. I love this quote. He says, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." So if you want to make quick changes, if you want changes and you want faster results, start looking at what you're doing every single day. Is that just busy work, or is that work that can produce income? The secret to your success is found in your daily routine. So if you're not having success, change the daily routine. It's that simple.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you bring that up. So that, you know, the people that we talk to on a one-on-one level, so when I get there, you know, when I find out what their production is, and I say, hey, how's it working for you? And they say it's not. then we're going to scratch everything that you're doing right now because it's not working, right? And we're going to try a different routine, a different strategy, a different what you're going to do during the day is has to change because what you're doing right now isn't working. And that's one of the first things we look at is what is working, what isn't working, but then what do you like to do, which you've already brought that up, and more importantly, what do you love to do? And that's just, I mean, what you just said hits everything. If you're not happy, you have to change something. It's got to be like what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I remember I was sharing that with you and Carl when you were in town, I saw an interview with Darren Hardy. He's the CEO of Success Magazine. And he said, he went and actually bought a stopwatch when he was selling real estate, and he put it around his neck.
No, wait a minute. No, so everybody on this call, like if you're going to listen to anything on this class right now, this is like, I think Carl and I were speechless for about 30 seconds after you said this. So
yeah, you're not paying
attention right now. Yeah, listen to this one piece because I think you should try this, and I think it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, so buy a stopwatch, and this is something you really should go and buy. This isn't anything you should do with your phone. Buy a stopwatch, put it around your neck. And back when Darren was selling real estate, he said there were 3 things that produce income. One is negotiating contracts, going on listing appointments, or prospecting. I'm going to say it one more time. Negotiating contracts, going on listing appointments, or prospecting. So if he got into the office and there were no contracts to negotiate that day, well, then he prospected or he went on listing appointments. And when he would go on a listing appointment, he would start the stopwatch, and when he got back in his car, he would turn the stopwatch off. And when he was making his calls, he turned the stopwatch on, and when he was done making his calls, he turned the stopwatch off. And the point is, when you get home at the end of the day, whether you've worked an 8-hour day, a 9-hour day, or let's say maybe you even worked a 10-hour day, the idea is when you get home at night, take a look at that stopwatch and see just how long or how many hours, and you might be surprised, it might not even be an hour. You spend 10 hours at the office, but you only did productive income-producing work for less than an hour. But you were gone from home, gone from your family for 10 hours. But you only did what you were supposed to for less than 1. Is that crazy or what?
It's insanity, dude. And here's what I like to do to take that to another level is so figure out, like, put in the number of what you made last year. Say that, let's say $100,000, okay? There's 2,080 hours in a typical 40-hour work week, all right? So I'm going to divide 100,000 by 2,080. And that number is $48 an hour. Now, you got your stopwatch. It's not on. You look down at what you're doing, and I ask myself, would you pay someone $48 an hour to do what you're doing right now? And every time the answer is no, I would not pay someone $48 an hour. But the reality is you are paying someone $48 an hour because you're doing it. When you could be out doing those 3 things Robert just said with the stopwatch on your neck, prospecting, making calls, listing appointments, that's the huge changer for you. You got to start doing money-making activities, reduce and delegate, and delete the rest.
Yep, that's it. I mean, that is it. So if we keep moving on, let's take it to number 3, right? So number 1 was unrealistic expectations. All right, and then number 2 is if I just back up to number 2 right there, is they have no plan. So now if we move forward, going forward, number 3 is we don't run it like a business. Now, Scott, I'm sure you've seen this. You get real estate agents, and this happens to me all the time. They'll miss a coaching call. They'll miss a webinar like this. And when I talk to them, I'll say, hey, we missed you at the training today. And they said, yeah, I had to sell a house. And here's my point. You can sell a house at any time. Get out of the mindset. I guess it's a mindset. Agent number 1 on the list, he sells houses. Agent number 2 off to the right, she runs a business. See, the problem with selling houses is you sell one. You get 1 commission check. You put that 1 commission check in the bank. You pay your bills. What happens? You're broke. Now you got to run out and chase the next sale. So this is what we see with real estate agents. They're constantly chasing the business, almost like the rabbit who's chasing the carrot. It's one sale at a time. You're chasing one. And so what I'd rather see is you sit down and build these 6 core skills that I'm going to show you and work more on running a business than selling houses.
One thing I like to always say and tell to myself, it's impossible to chase 2 rabbits. Impossible. So you either chase the listing or you chase growing a business. Which one is going to better suit you short term and long term?
Yeah, and we all know the answer to that. I mean,
right on.
A lot. And a lot of agents they'll still take, I'd rather have the listing today. And
right.
me, I'll pass that listing up today to know that I'm establishing some type of system or building some type of system in place that's going to get me 5 listings next month. I'll pass the listing today. I'll take the 5 next month. But that's the reason why we're doing this call today, is to get agents thinking more with this mindset. So question, what business are you in? And if you answer the real estate business, that's not the right answer. The business that you're really in and that mindset, you're in the marketing and strategy business. And you have to spend time, like we said, with the John Maxwell quote, working on your schedule, investing, and coming up with new ideas. So the number 4, let's bring up number 4. Are you guilty of no investment? And here's what I mean. What do you invest in your business? Think about your real estate business for a minute. What do you invest? How many hours? Are those quality hours? That's the old stopwatch test. How much money do you invest in your business? Do you have a website? And when I say a website, I don't just mean the generic boilerplate website that maybe your company gave you. Do you have something that can maybe give out free reports and track leads? And do you have a lead system in place? And the reason I put that, again, that picture of Steve Jobs over there is because when you get your real estate license, you are the CEO of your own business, whether you realize it or not. You get your real estate license, you hang that license with a broker, you are the CEO of Scott's real estate business. Scott's the CEO of it. Robert is the CEO of his, right?
Right on. You're your own .com is what I like to say.
You are your own CEO.
.com. Yeah.
Now this one drives me crazy. Not only do real estate agents not make an investment in their business, but if you've been doing this for quite some time, I've seen this where an agent's making $5 grand, $7 grand a month, but that's just enough to pay the bills. And then they have this 1 month. I was coaching an agent in November. They made $28,000, and they were one of the 5 to 7. Every month it was 5, it was 7. What happens when you have that 1 month where you make 28 or 30?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the time. When you make it, how will you spend it? When you have a couple of good months where you make 20, 30, 40 in a month, which a lot of real estate agents do, now's the time to set some money aside and reinvest it back in your business, to get the website you always wanted, to join that leads program, to hire that coach, to get that webinar series. This is the time to reinvest. And again, I was coaching an agent that made $28,000 in November, and then Scott, in February, they were complaining. And I'm thinking, how can you complain? Did you invest any of that money? They went on a cruise and took 2 vacations and had a nice Christmas. And the problem is what happens the first of the year with no reinvestment. It's just a duck trap. Number 6. This is huge. If you should write this one down, because here's where I think most real estate agents fall when it comes to the business. You know why they got into real estate, Scott? They were interested in it.
Mm-hmm. Jump in.
They heard.
Jump off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down.
Yeah, your friends are doing it. A friend got you in it. You heard about it. You thought you could make good money. So you said, you know what, I'm interested in real estate. But let me tell you, interested doesn't work. You got to be committed. Here's the difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you'll do it only when it's convenient. But when you're committed to doing something, you accept no excuses, only results. Vince Lombardi said that the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence. So ask yourself, am I truly committed to real estate? To making those calls and doing things when I don't want to do them? Or am I just interested? Am I just willing to do this when it's convenient for me? And when it's not convenient, then I don't want to do it. That's huge. Interest versus commitment. This was another big one, the 2 E's. This comes from Tony Dungy when he took over the Tampa Bay Bucks. It was no explanations, no excuses. Are you guilty of this? Where you have your plan today, right? Maybe you're not guilty of making a plan. Maybe you have a plan. And on your plan it says that you're going to make 2 hours worth of prospecting calls every single morning. Or 3 days a week, you're going to make 2 hours worth of calls. So at the end of the week, you made 6 hours. But when it comes time to make the calls, are you looking for an explanation or excuse why not to do it?
Or why
I remember seeing an, oh, why he didn't do it, right?
Right.
I saw an interview with Rondé Barber when Tony Dungy came to town. The Tampa Bay Bucks were about the losingest franchise in NFL history. And Tony Dungy turned them around in just a couple of years. And Rondé Barber said the big difference was the 2 E's. We all knew what we needed to do. We're professionals. And we could not give Tony Dungy an explanation or an excuse. He wouldn't have either. It was up in the Bucks locker room. You can even Google, no explanations, no excuses. You'll actually see Tony Dungy's picture come up. It just wasn't allowed. And that's how you turn losers into winners immediately. This was the biggest bunch of losers in NFL history. So listen, we know what you need to do. We're professional. No more explanation, no excuses. We're going to just do it. That's it. We're just going to do it. I like it. This thing we call fear.
You know one thing I want to bring up that I think is really important. I might have shared this last week. I don't know if I did or not. And this is a big deal. So, so we all have dreams, goals, and I asked Carl, and this is a deep thought here. So I said, Carl, why is it that some people, and this probably fits right here, where you're going to talk about the fear, why is it that some people just never make it? In fact, the majority, they say that 5 people make 95% of the money in the world, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that the 95% never, they just never get there? And here's what he said. And I go, wow, that's deep. So what he said was, you have a dream. I have a dream. Everybody on this call has a dream. We have goals. We have dreams, goals, and desires. If I put something in place, if I go, like you just talked about excuses and explanations, if I go do something that is going to get me to help me reach my goals or whatever it is that I want to get to, and I fail because I tried something, I wake up tomorrow morning and I don't have that goal anymore because I don't have, it's gone because it didn't work whatever I tried. Does that make sense? So I have a goal. I try something, it didn't work. Now I'm going to go, man, that goal is not realistic anymore because what I tried didn't work. Does that make sense?
That is
deep. It's deep.
Well, so, it's actually coming up on the slides here. Coming up,
okay.
That's exact. And you know, I'm glad you said that because you can see that I hadn't even gone through this with Carl, but yet we both had the same mindset on this. You're absolutely right. It's quitting. Quitting comes down to quitting.
Yeah, and then I thought, okay, so look at a professional baseball player, their batting average. Look at a professional basketball player, how many times they shoot, and their shooting percentage of the times that they make the shot. If they quit after 5 shots because they missed all 5, they wouldn't be professional anymore. They shoot, and it's 50%. I think it's right around 50% is what the best of the best in the industry do. So why are we allowed to quit on our fears, goals, dreams, and desires? It's not an option. Don't let it be an option of yours. Just know that you might have to work a little bit harder. You know how some people can take a test and pass it every time, where I got to work my butt off to take that test, but I'm not going to quit, right? So to be successful, you might have to work a little bit harder.
Well, I'm so glad that you said that and used that little baseball analogy because I'm an assistant coach on one team and I'm a head coach on another. So I coach 2 baseball teams right now. And listen to this statistic, right? If you go up to, let's say you want to become a professional baseball player and you're that good and you're working your way up through AAA, AA, and so on, if you go up to the plate and you hit the ball, let's say 2 out of 10 times, now, a lot of people would think that's a failure. But at a certain level, you might be playing in the minor leagues. And you might be making $24,000 to $35,000 a year, 2 out of 10. Now, what if you just could get 1 more hit and take that to 3 out of 10? Do you know your salary is going to jump up to about $1.5 million, and you might go from making $24,000 to $1.5 million or $2 million as a professional baseball player. And then if you can just get up from 4 to 4 hits, now you're an all-star making a minimum of $10 million a year. So just from 2 to 4 can go from making $24,000 to $10 million, just 2 more hits.
Insane.
The best of the best in baseball, look them up. The best of the best at the end of the year, they're only going to be hitting, you know, 0.35, 3.5 out of 10.
Right.
Right.
On the very high side, the best of the best.
Yeah, so you're going to fail. Even like Evan Longoria, I'm a Rays fan. I think last year he hit like 250. I mean, 1 out of 4.
He fails more than he succeeds.
A lot more. Fails
A lot
3
more.
times as much.
Three
So, yeah.
times more. I know, exactly.
So let's talk about this thing called fear. You know, I was asking an agent one time, we were doing a call session, and I'd round up the agents, and I would say, okay, we're going to make calls. And this agent just refused. She said, I'm not doing it. I said, well, why? And she says, well, you know, my first thought was, I get it. What if you get hung up on? And she's like, no, I'm more scared if they invite me over. What if they invite me over? What if they say no? Scott, and I call them. Worse, what if they say yes? What if they list with me and I fail? What if it's a listing in my neighborhood and I end up looking stupid? You know, here's a great saying, everything you want is on the other side of fear. And, you know, even when we got into doing these webinars, I mean, look, at a little technical glitch today with the phone, you just move on. You know, it's just, okay, we'll get it fixed and we move on. Right? I mean, there's nothing really to fear. Just get out there and do it. And if you make a mistake, try not to make the same mistake twice and move on. And these last two are kind of where Scott and Carl were talking about is no perseverance. Steve Jobs said he's convinced about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from non-successful ones is pure perseverance, right? Mm-hmm. How many times we failed, how many times we get back up. I've got a friend of mine, Scott. Back in the day, I was, been in Tampa here since '86, but in the '90s, I was doing stand-up comedy and acting workshops. And there was a guy, he was 49 years old. We were buds in class. His name was Jim Kelly. His acting name is James Martin Kelly. And at 49 years old, 49 with 4 kids, and he wasn't that successful in the acting world. He was very talented, but he knew that if he really wanted to make it, he needed to go to L.A. And at 49, he packed up his family and his 4 kids and drove to L.A. with a beat-up car, just a junker, and a dream. He's been there 10 years. He was on Castle last week. He's been in Men in Black, The Hangover. He just did the movie Jack Reacher. We're talking about a guy who works out in L.A., but he did it. And the reason I bring this up is you want to talk about perseverance. We're friends on Facebook, and somebody posted something on Facebook to him, said, get knocked down 8 times, get up 9. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, get knocked down 4,865 times, get up 4,866 times. So think about that guy, what he's been through. You know, a lot of us didn't get a listing or 2. This guy at 49 took the whole family to L.A. on a prayer, and he did it.
Yeah, unbelievable. Good for him.
So last is real estate agents run out of money, right? Here's what happens. Every 30 days we're faced with this stuff, and then they knock on their broker's door, and just like what Scott and Carl was saying, I quit. So to tag along with what you and Carl was saying, look at this here. Thomas Edison, he failed on the invention of a light bulb over 10,000 times before it worked. So he said, I've not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. And many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were when they just gave up. And I think that's what Carl was saying. Like, we can all get there.
Right.
So with that said, now that we know 10 pitfalls, let's jump into the 6 core skills for success. Okay? These 6 things, they're not an option. If you're a real estate agent, you have to master these 6 things. Number 1 is lead generation. You've got to have a constant flow of leads coming in. And we're going to break down these one at a time. So I'll skim through them, and then we'll get into them one at a time. Number 2, database management. You've got to have a database where you can market, especially email marketing, to your clients today. Number 3 is prospecting techniques. You've got to know how to prospect. Number 4, presentation skills. Number 5, closing and handling objections. And number 6 is follow-up. So there they are. Write them down real quick. Lead generation, database management, prospecting skills, presentation skills, closing, handling objections, and follow-up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break down each one of these skills one at a time and tell you why they're so important or so vital to have a long and lasting real estate business. So let's start with lead generations. Why is leads number 1? Because in my opinion, leads is the gas that drives the car. Why is it that some real estate agents are like this gentleman here that's got his thumb out? He's on the side of the road. Their business is broken down. They have no listings. They have no buyers. They walk around the office. They complain every day. But yet there's an agent right in that very office. His business looks like that race car. I have a guy that I'm coaching. This is his second full-time year in real estate. He made $55,000 in February. And this is only his second full-time year, you know. But then you have agents in the same office or that we coach that they're just complaining all the time.
Didn't make it the last 2 years. Right on, right on.
Exactly. So let's get into lead generation. Here are some issues that I've seen with real estate agents. Number 1 is they don't really know how to generate leads at all. They have no clear strategies. So what you do when you get in the business is you copy. You see what other agents are doing, and you start copying them. But what they didn't tell you is those ideas weren't working for them. So you copied somebody that had an unsuccessful campaign or strategy, and you felt like you wasted money. So therefore, when somebody comes up to you with a successful strategy, you don't even want to hear it because you've tried it, it doesn't work, and so on. So here's a few things about leads. Number 1, either you call them or they call you.
This was my biggest aha moment when you came to Florida with us, Robert. Like when you came to Florida,
yeah.
you covered this one thing. This was a huge aha moment because you know we were literally. It was so funny that you were standing on beside there, and everybody was in the room going, "How do we get people to call us? How do we get people to call us? How do we get the phone to ring? How do we get the phone to ring?" And you're like, "Why don't you guys pick up the phone and call them?" And I'm like, "Whoa." This is crazy.
Yeah, that is so true. Scott and Carl invited me to one of their boot camps, and these guys have great boot camps. There's a lot of, you guys have some powerhouses in these boot camps you throw, but they were in a deep, heated discussion. You guys invited me there to speak, and I got there about 30 minutes early, and that was the heated discussion, was how to make the phones ring more. And I was sitting in the back, and I'm like, you know, it's either one of two things. Either if the phone's not ringing, then you got to do something when you go to work. And you got to pick up the phone and call them because it only works one of two ways. Either they call you or you call them. So what I always ask real estate agents is, did anybody call you this week looking to buy anything, looking to list anything? Because if they didn't, then you better be on the phone calling them. Okay? So a question, how many leads do you generate a week? And we can help you with all of this. Do you have a return on investment? What type of return? I asked a question, Scott. I said, how many agents would pay me $7,500 for a lead? Guess how many agents raised their hands? There were 50 in the room. Nobody. But then I said, if I would refer you a $1 million client, would you pay me the standard 25% referral fee? And everybody raised their hand. And the crazy part was, I said the same damn thing. I just said it differently. Because if you sell a $1 million property and you make a $30,000 commission, my lead costs $7,500. That's my referral fee. So I guess what the point I'm trying to get across is it's never the amount a lead costs. It's what you get back from that lead in return. Everybody on this call would spend $7,500 for a lead. If you knew you were getting $30,000, you would do it in a second. So it's never the cost of the lead. You always want to look at the ROI, or the return on investment. So another question is, when we're coaching, we always ask, you know, do you have leads? How many? What's your rate of return? Do you have a budget to generate leads? What's working? What's not? But we have to really dig into lead generation. So that's the first thing that we're really, really big on at the Real Estate Academy, and is just digging in and make sure that you have a constant source of leads coming in. From there, we take those leads and we go to our core skill, or basic skill number 2, which is we take those leads and we put them in our database. Okay, so my question is, do you have a database? If so, how many contacts?
Everybody, just so you know, everybody has a database. You say you don't, but you do. We all have a sphere of influence, and they all buy homes, and they all know people that buy homes. You guys, if you were on the call the last 2 weeks with Michael Mayer, you'll know that I mean, to get to 150 people in your database is not hard. It's just how bad you want it and how fast you want to get there. And then we call them ambassadors. If you missed those last 2 classes, get with the loan professional that sent you here to not only get a copy of this recording, but the PowerPoint as well. And man, I'm telling you, the database management and the follow-up is the #1 thing for me in my business. Because the more I follow up, the better the relationship I build, the deeper I go with these people. And they all, if they feel appreciated and you let them know how much you appreciate them, they will send their friends, family, and coworkers to you day after day after day.
You know, and you just have to reach out to them. Yeah, absolutely. I started coaching a girl. Her name is Mimi, and we started doing it last year. And she didn't have a database, so there's affordable ones out there. I mean, I found one for $99 a year, and what I like about it, it's not filled with 100 bells and whistles that you'll never use. It's very basic, but it gets the job done. So I know she had a limited budget, so I recommended, that, like I said, a $99 per year database. 1 year has gone by, and she has about 80 clients in there. Now, she's on her 3rd sale, Scott, this year from her database, 3rd. What she does is she sends out a weekly update, kind of like I do, but she doesn't do it with the video. How long does it take to find a real estate article about anything on the Internet? 5 minutes?
2 seconds? Yeah.
Yeah. So she'll just say, hey, I have found this. Flood insurance reform just got passed. I've linked it to this site. Take a look. Oh, by the way, I do sell real estate, so if you have a need. So here's what happened. In November, she went out to meet with some for sale by owners. And I tell people, you collect 5 bits of information from everyone. You get their name, their phone number, their email address, what they do for a living, and their birthday. Just keep it simple, 5 bits of information, and you get that on everybody you meet with, even the listing appointments you lose. So she goes out right around Thanksgiving and meets with a for sale by owner, and they don't list with her. The guy says, I can sell this and do this myself, and I'm going to. So she says, okay. She says, but could I just follow up with you? He says, sure. You know, he gives her the polite blow-off. But what she does, she gets back to the office, and she puts this 5 bits of information in her database. She puts the proper coding tags on it, and once a week, this guy gets an email from her. And so what happened, she just closed this on Friday, but this guy calls her up, and he says, hey, Mimi, do you remember me? And she said, yeah, of course I remember you. He's like, well, my wife and I, we sold our house ourselves. And she said, well, congratulations. What can I do for you? And he said, well, we picked out a home for $465, and since we didn't use you on the sale, we thought maybe you could open a door for us and write a contract. She made like $12,000 on Friday over a $99 database and an email. And this is she's done 3. So she's on pace. She's doing 1 a month from her database. But if we just give her 10 for the year, she's going to make 50. You gave yourself a $50,000 a year raise, 50, just by working your database. That's powerful.
Cool, man. Yeah.
So database management, I think it's a necessity. If you're going to pick out a specific database and you want to use it, it has to be able to perform email campaigns today, because that's really the purpose of it. You want to be able to reach your database at a couple clicks of the mouse. And then how often do you contact your database? I've heard people contact their database as much as once a day to once a month. And what do you send? So again, basic or core fundamental number 2 is your database. Just a couple questions. Number 1, do you have one? How many contacts do you have in it? Can it perform email campaigns? If so, how often do you contact your database, and what do you send? And you always want to send them something of value. People will never get tired.
Sorry, man. Sorry to interrupt, but the five. Somebody's asking about the one. Do you care to share the database management system that you referred to her for $99?
Sure. It's and again, I'm not affiliated with them at
Right.
all.
Yeah, we have no affiliations. Yep.
Yeah, it's called realtyjuggler.com.
Okay.
Realty Juggler. And then I'll give you a quick story on that. I was using a software called Top Producer, and that's just because like I said on a couple slides before, I was following. It's what we do is we just follow what we see other agents doing. That was an online software, Top Producer. It's $40 a month. Not that $40 breaks the bank, but here's the problem. $40 a month, and it comes with 100 bells and whistles. Well, as a real estate agent, I don't need 100 bells and whistles. I might need a dozen. So what Realty Juggler did is they got rid of the 100 bells and whistles. They might have 15 or 18. You might only need a dozen. So what they did is it's not $40 a month or $480 a year. It's $99 a year. It tracks all your deals. It does email campaigns and so on. And so you can't for $99 a year. And you know, there are agents that are from Keller Williams, and Keller Williams has a system called the Edge. Here's the problem with the Edge, Scott. Check this out. When I talk to agents from across the country, they said, yeah, we don't want our own database. We use Keller Williams' database, the Edge. And I think that's great, but here's my question. What happens if you and your broker get into it one day? Just over something.
Right.
And you just decide there's an opportunity to join a different company or to make a right or left-hand turn.
Right.
What happens to your database? Who owns that database? And they're like, well, we don't own it. The company does. So why wouldn't one of your greatest assets, maybe your greatest asset, I mean, Scott, you said database and follow-up. I can't live without my database.
Everything.
So you gotta own your own database. I don't care who you work for. You have to own your own database. It has to belong to you. And for $99 a year, I don't think you should even question that.
Paula says, I use Realty Juggler and love it. So there's another third-party verification there.
There you go.
Realty Juggler. So Realty Juggler. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Realty Juggler. So let's move on to number 3 on the list of our 6 skills, and that's prospecting or prospecting techniques. So one thing that, and I've had the opportunity to coach one guy that I was working with, Scott, who's making over $900,000 a year as an agent, and I was just picking his brain, just wanting to know, you know, and him and I were doing a lot of the same stuff. Number 1 is we were prospecting 4 to 6 hours a week. And why we do that 4 to 6 is because we want to get 1 appointment per hour. And 4 is the minimum I want to go on, and 6 was normally the max. With my schedule and everything that I was doing, I could go on 4 to 6 a week. 4 to 6 at-bats a week. The perfect amount of appointments for me in a week was 5. Why I used to book 5 is because 1 always canceled. So if 1 always canceled, I was left with 4. And I was like that Evan Longoria. I felt if you gave me 4 at-bats per week, I was at least getting 1 hit. Always getting 1 hit. So
yeah, just a little bit of, sorry, buddy, just a little bit of clarification. We're not saying what Keller Williams does or doesn't do. We have no affiliation with Keller Williams. We're just saying that if you have your database system tied up into any database system, and say, for example, I don't think this is going to happen, but Realty Juggler, your database is in there, and it goes down, it shuts down. Like, for example, I keep all my database in Google Contacts. I have 9,000 people in there. If Google shuts down tomorrow, it's gone. I can't get it back, right? That's all we're saying is just protect your database. Is hundreds of thousands. It's retirement for you. It is something that you can build deep relationships with that is so valuable you can't put a price on it. The deeper you go with your database, the more referrals you're going to get and the more relationships you're going to build, and just never ever ends. It's like you're rolling this rock to the top of the hill. Once you get a database of people that know, like, and trust you, it doesn't even need to be that big. Literally, that rock goes rolling down this hill, and forever and ever and ever, and your business just goes through the roof. And it's just a really good thing. So we're not saying Keller Williams doesn't give you your database. We're just saying protect it with everything you have.
Yeah, and again, I agree with you, Scott, 100%. It's not to knock anybody. It's just to say, look, you need to own your own database.
Right on.
That's just my belief. If you're in real estate, both Scott and I agree that this is probably your biggest asset, is your database. This is what you could sell when you want to retire. This is what, like I just said, that agent that I'm coaching, Mimi, she's going to make $50,000 just using this thing correctly. So to invest $100 into something and then you own it, or it belongs to you, not a company, and you can feel free to do whatever it is that you want with it. It just gives you a little bit more freedom. That's all. So going on to prospecting, I always prospect 4 to 6 hours a week. We always have to make sure we have enough quality leads to call. We want to track our results always. How many people answered, how many people didn't, what our ratio is between how many people answered. You know, back when I was calling all the time, I was usually 1 in 3. If I could get 3 people on the phone, I would get invited over. So then it's just a numbers game from there. You got to build in the systems, stay committed. We talked about that. Here's the big thing about prospecting. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. It is strictly a numbers game. And I'll tell you this, Scott, sometimes I call people and they're just downright mean on the phone. They're just mean. And I used to hang up years ago and I'd be like, what a jerk, and I'd cross them off my list. And I started thinking about it, and you know, the nice ones, they invite you over, but guess who they also invite over?
Right.
Everybody.
So
So they're really nice on the phone. Oh, this is Scott.
They invite their nice friends. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, come on over. Yeah, you can see the house, sure. So what? They're going to invite 20 to 30 realtors over. And the mean people, if you can get in with them, they're so mean, they might only have 2 to 3 agents over. But the bottom line is if you treat it like a numbers game and you realize that 60 to 70% of these people are going to need an agent within a month, I'd rather be over with the mean people because you got a 1 in 3 chance versus the nice people who invited everybody over. So I guess the reason for bringing this up is if somebody is not that nice to you on the phone, instead of crossing them off your list, just say, I understand, could I follow up with you? And even if they hang up on you, call them back in 2 to 3 weeks. Because if you can get in with the mean ones, nobody else is. Just, again, numbers game increases your odds, your chances of getting listing. And what Scott was talking about with Carl is that everybody fails. Understand when it comes to prospecting, just like taking those baseball swings, you're a superstar if you get 3 out of 10.
Of course.
So if you're only getting 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, you're not failing.
Home run, man. Home run.
Absolutely. So prospecting is huge. Next, what happens when people invite you over? So you mastered the art of lead generation. You got leads are flowing in. So then you don't waste the leads. You put them in your database, and then you call up, and you got your prospecting techniques and your scripts down. But now people are inviting you over. So now you have to give a presentation. First question, is it automated? Do you have it on like a PowerPoint? Do you have it on your iPad? I'd love I just got back from Orlando, and my wife asked me if we wanted to go on a timeshare, to go see some timeshares, because my wife's getting this vacation bug, and I wanted to go. I sat through a 90-minute pitch just to watch it all go down. And the Marriott, guess what they do? They give you a whole presentation that's on computer. They want it to be visually pleasing. So just to piggyback off of what the Marriott's doing, their presentation's automated. Their guy practiced it. We were not the first person he gave it to. He was well-versed and well-practiced. How many presentations or appointments do you do a week? That's a lot of the problems that real estate agents have. They just don't get enough swings or up to the plate as much per week as they should. Do you show up prepared to a presentation? Even if they don't sound like they're going to sign with you, you should still show up prepared. How many times I went because I thought someone was just going to tell me, hey, I don't really want to talk to you, but you can come over. And when I showed up, they were nice, and I could have kicked myself because, if I would have had my presentation and all my comps together, I could have ended up getting that listing. So you always have to show up prepared. Make sure that your presentations are verbal, visual, and interactive. Okay, there's statistics on this, but if it's verbal, they're going to retain so much. As soon as your presentation goes visual, that's why you want to bring the PowerPoint. If you don't have a PowerPoint or an iPad, bring a book. Bring a presentation booklet. You got to give them some type of visual stimulation, and when you get them, I would always get people involved. And you know what? But this guy asked this at the Marriott, and I asked this as well. This is a great way to start off a listing appointment. Ask the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, I want to thank you for having me over today. But before we get started, I just want to know, what do you know about the real estate market and about selling houses? What do you know about it?
Deflate them.
Isn't that great?
That's awesome, man.
Well,
That's awesome.
Yeah, if they know a lot, then maybe there's some things you don't have
Nowhere to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, but if they don't know anything, they're kind of directing you. So you ask them, what do you know about selling homes or about how the real estate market's doing in general? And then you can kind of tailor your presentation right there.
One thing real quick about, I know we're running out of time, and I appreciate you guys hanging with us. We got some good stuff to cover still, but I mean, only a couple more slides. But for me, you guys go to, here's a perfect relation. You go to a restaurant, and you got a menu with pictures. You're like, okay, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. But you got a picture with you got a menu with no pictures in it, and what do you find yourself doing? When the waiter or waitress walks by, you're looking at the plates of food, right? You're like, ooh, that looks good. Ooh, that looks good. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing. When you're looking to do something for the seller, or in fact, in case of marketing to expireds with results and advanced strategy, which we're going to be doing in a couple weeks again, do something of value for them, show them what you've done by presentation. And iPad, it's just, I don't know what it is about like that iPad, but it just makes you feel good. And really, we're in a marketing to our database and making people feel good. If you're going in with all the bells and whistles with the presentation and you got it all dialed in, and especially with their property showing, you're going to kill it more so than just going in unprepared with a piece of paper and no pictures. Just think about that. Think about how you feel when you see stuff that's has pictures on it.
Yeah, it's not what you said or what you did. It's always how you made them feel.
Make them feel. Amen.
So let's go on to, we got two left. Let's talk about closing and handling objections. You always have to understand their situation and ask the right questions and dig deep. I'm going to give you one of these. Are we allowed to go overtime, Scott, or do we
absolutely,
need to
man, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
I could probably be done in about 10 minutes, so probably
perfect.
If we didn't have that little glitch in the beginning, we would have ended on time. But
no worries.
So you have to handle objections. I'm going to tell you one quick story, but I'll be quick about it. There was an agent that I was coaching. His name was Atif. And he goes, I was on this listing appointment, and the lady told me, she said, look, Atif, I've got money. My disabled mother-in-law just moved in with us. Now we have my money, my husband's money, my disabled mother-in-law's money. I don't need to sell this $250,000 home. All I'm willing to pay is a 3% commission. I'm not paying 6. I'll pay 3. I'm not, and that's very common, where for sale by owner or maybe even expired wants to do it on their own, and they've got to the point where they're willing to pay 3, not pay 6. She said, we bought a house right up the street for $350,000, and if it takes me a year or two to sell this house, it does, and I'm not in a hurry, and I don't need the money. So Atif says, well, what would you do about that? And I said, well, obviously, I don't think you truly understood the situation, and you have to ask the right questions, and you have to dig deep, and you have to look for a problem, and you have to offer a better solution. He said, yeah, but she said she wasn't listing. I said, but she bought a house up the street, right? Yeah. Did you ask her, what about this house? So I went on that appointment. And I asked her, I said, I understand you're not going to list, but you have 2 houses now, right? What does this one house cost you? That you're moving into the big house, this one for $250,000. It turns out by the time she penciled out her house payment, the mortgage payment, her taxes, her insurance, her pool guy, her landscaper, the electric bill, it was about $3,200 a month she was going to spend just to keep a vacant house afloat because they were moving into another house. And all she was saving in commission was $7,500. So she wanted to save $7,500, but even at the cost of spending $3,300 a month out of her bank account, out of her mother-in-law's checking account. I mean, how many months does it take?
3 months and she's negative.
Yeah, so when I started showing her the math behind her decision, I said, I understand you have money and you don't need a realtor. I get it. I'm on your side, but here's one thing you didn't think of. If this takes a year, like you said, do you know you're going to go through $40,000 having 2 homes? So you're going to spend $40,000 to save $7,500? So look at how I closed and I handled objections. I understood the situation. I didn't listen to what she said, which is, well, I'm not listening, I'm not listening. I was beyond that, and I was really trying to understand the whole situation. You got two homes. You got a disabled mother-in-law, you got two homes. I asked the right questions. I dug deep. I found what the problem
I think one thing about closing, Robbie, is I think people go into it with scripts and like, okay, I got to say this, I got to say this, I got to say this. You know when you're talking to somebody and they ask you a question, you give them an answer, and then they ask you a question that has no relation to the answer. It's
Absolutely,
like,
happens all the time.
what did you just ask me? Like they're not listening. They're only thinking about the next question. Like when I go into a coaching session with a one-on-one, I'm like, I have certain things I want to cover, but if that person goes in a direction that I think is going to benefit them, then I go that direction. You know what I'm saying? So like I think it's so important. I can't stress enough how you said to listen to what they say and let that sink in and go, okay, is this a benefit? Because what you really did was go, here's the pros and cons of keeping this home. The pro is, yeah, you got it, you got your money in the bank, but the con is it's going to cost you this much money per month. If we sell it in 2 months, we're positive. If we sell it in a month, we're like way positive. If we take longer than 3 months, it's going to cost you not only $3,200, but every single month thereafter. So if you can show them the breakdown of that, I mean, if you were just going and going, crap, man, that didn't work, I got nothing. But if you were truly listening, going, okay, how much is it going to cost? I think that right there is going to save somebody on this call a sale eventually or a listing, because if you just go into it going, what is it truly going to cost to keep this home? That is a powerful close.
Well, here's why that is really powerful, Scott. It's because you should come up with closes for every objection that you get.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
If you're on this call, this close that I just threw out, you can use every single time somebody tells you, I'm not listening. But you know, if you go on 10 appointments, probably 2 out of the 10, they already have their next house.
Absolutely.
So this will work probably 2 out of 10 times.
No
very common. People, oh, well, we already bought that house in Michigan. We got to get our Tampa place sold, but we're not going to have a realtor. You hear that, you go right into penciling it out. Hey, I understand you got that place in Michigan, but let's do the math here. I understand we all want to save money, but are you saving money? So you're going to see that one a lot.
Here's one thing I always ask myself when I'm going to make a decision. It's not what is it going to cost me. What I ask is, what is it going to cost me not to do it? Think about it that way. I mean, everybody goes, what's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? If you just add not to do it, what's it going to cost me not to do it? Whether it's looking at a strategy, whether it's looking at a marketing plan, database CRM, following up with my database, you can put that in every single thing, every conversation.
Yeah.
What is it going to cost me not to do it? Yes.
And then write down the objections you can handle, and that's things that we can help you with. And then last but not least, which is Scott's big one and mine too, is follow-up. How often should I follow up? That's the biggest question, and I like to use the old Dr. Seuss quote, and it's the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. Meaning, you go on a listing appointment today, the people are very nice. They say, Scott, do us a favor, call us in a week. We're just not ready. A week from today, Scott calls them up and they're rude to him on the phone. Why are you? Who are you? Why are you calling me? Please don't, you know what I mean? So obviously they mind that Scott's calling. So the people who mind, treat them as they don't matter. And the people who matter, guess what? They'll never mind that you're calling. So just call. People always say, well, what do I say when I follow up? Again, this is why we have the database. Before I'm following up with anybody, I'm going to pull their name up in my database. I'm going to go into notes, and I'm going to read the date and the time of the last conversation and what was said. So I already know where to pick up the conversation when I call them. Can I follow up with emails? Yes, and I'll talk to you about that. Follow up with everybody, even the ones you lose. Okay, now we have to be careful in the world of listings. Once that gets listed, you don't want to solicit anybody for a listing, but just because somebody's listed doesn't mean I can't send them an email talking about the real estate market. I'm not soliciting them for a listing. I'm just sending them a generic email that talks about the real estate market or the state of it or what's happening in our local area. Track your failures.
One thing on the follow-up, I gotta say, you know, we think too much about this. Everybody goes, well, I haven't called them in a year. Holy crap, they're gonna be pissed. If I call them, they're just gonna be mean to me because I sold them their home, and they're just gonna go, dude, why are you calling me? Trust me on this when I say this. They don't sit around and think about us as much as we think they do. They're going to be totally awesome. Okay. Think about this. So if you were to, I don't know, half of the people on this call probably bought a car in the last 12 months, right? Or maybe not half, but last 3 years, everybody's probably bought a car on this, you know. So if the guy that sold you your car, who probably never contacted you ever, called you up and said, hey, Robbie, man, how's it going, dude? How you been, man? You've been good, right? Hey, how's that car doing? It's doing great, man. I got to, you know, shoot, man, that was one of the best cars I've ever purchased. Hey, great. Robbie, you ready for another one? Is anybody going to be upset by that?
And if they do, Scott, they don't matter, correct?
And if they do, they don't matter. Yeah, Dr. Seuss. Put Dr. Seuss right on your computer and say, who cares? Next. Some will, some won't. So what? Next.
You know, I'm glad you said that because I bought my car a year and a half ago, and I've never heard from that guy since. And that's such a great analogy. If he called me up today,
he would love it.
And well, you know, and you can even have full disclosure on that. You could call up and say, hey, Scott, you know, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I'm taking a different approach, and I'm really trying to build my business. I hope you're enjoying the car. And, hey, I'm looking for more people. Do you know anybody? Just have full disclosure. Tell him what you're doing. He's not going to, like, if this guy called me today, I haven't talked to him since I pulled off that car lot in a year and a half. If he told me, hey, bud, how's the car going? Listen, I'm taking a new approach, and I'm trying to improve my business. Do you know of anybody? I would tell him anybody I knew. Why not?
Absolutely, man. Congratulations for making that call. So, guys, pick up the phone. Don't worry about it. Some will, so what, so what. I mean, just do it, do it, do it. Trust me, if everybody on this call, I can freaking almost guarantee it, if everybody on this call called 50 people today of their past database and just said, how's it going, how's the home doing, hey, what do you, like, talk frog, family, recreation, occupation, and goals. Hey, Robbie, hey, how's the family doing? Great. Hey, what you guys do anything for spring break, or did you do anything for spring break? How's the job doing? You know, how's the family doing? Good. Hey, you got any big plans planned for this summer once the kids get out of school, or, you know, any big plans coming up, or any big goals coming up? That's it. Hey, can I count on you guys to send me any of your friends, family, or coworkers that are thinking about buying or selling a home? Absolutely. Can I count on you? They say absolutely.
Ooh, I like that.
They just committed.
And to close up the follow-up system, I keep it very simple. When people ask me what is my follow-up system or how it works, I just go send, call, see. So how I work is I send people things, and I send my database things. So they'll never forget me. I'm sending emails, I'm sending valuable stuff, and then I'll follow up with a call, and then I'll try to see them. So my follow-up system is very simple. It's called send, call, see. We're down here to the end. Here's some statistics. Scott, check this one out. This was a recent study. 44% of salespeople quit the first time they hear no. 22% quit after the second time they hear no. So right there, 2/3 of all salespeople, they're gone. 2/3 are gone after the second time they hear no. Another 14% by the third time, and 12% of salespeople quit after the fourth time they hear no. So when you add this up, 92% of all salespeople quit between the first and the fourth time they hear no, but yet 60% of the sales are made after the prospect has said no 4 times. So 8% of the sales are left when the prospect is ready to say yes.
8%.
8.
Yeah, and it's probably high. That's probably on the high side, actually.
Yeah, well, I'll bring this whole slide up at once. Look at this. If you're a sports fan, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup and Game 4 of the NBA Finals. This was last year. You know what following up to me is in the world of sports? It's rebounding. Hockey's been around for over 100 years. They put 5 guys on the ice. Chicago Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup last year. How many guys are around Boston's net if there's 5 guys on the ice? 4. The only guy that's not around is the guy that shot the puck. So you got the best shooters in the world playing in the Stanley Cup. One guy shoots the puck, but the other 4 already know that even though he's the best in the world, it's probably not going to go in. So where do the other 4 need to go? Right by the net and get the rebound.
Yep.
Why is LeBron James the best in the world? 4 San Antonio Spurs around him, he's the best in the world. Why? Because he knows the first shot's not going to go in. He needs to be there for the rebounds. That's why these people are the best of the best. Because in sports, they call it rebounding. In sales, they call it following up. So the point is, right there, last year, both championships, NBA or Stanley Cup, take your pick. It was all done by rebounding, period.
Absolutely. It's where the game's won, man. Yeah, and don't take it personal. I mean, people tell you no, don't take it personal. It's just you don't know what's going on in their lives. That's why I always like to think, when when I'm out with some friends and someone treats them in not so good of a way, and oh my God, that person's mean. You don't know what they're going through. When someone says no, you don't know if their dog just died or maybe their mom just got diagnosed with something, or you just don't know what's going on. No means I don't have enough information. I don't know you, like you, and trust you yet. I need more information. I need to feel comfortable. You haven't made me feel good yet. So don't take it personal. It's business. Put on your business cap when you're making these calls and go, I need to make the calls. I need to get the hellos. I need to get the appointment or ask for the business or ask for the referrals. There's nothing else. Get the appointment face-to-face, whether you're marketing to expireds, current listings, somebody calls to see a home, get the face-to-face, because that's when you're going to build the relationships, right? There's nothing else to do.
Just get the face-to-face. So what we do at the end is we give you a little real estate report card. And what we do is we take the 6 skills, and we said if we're breaking down real estate into 6 subjects, like school, there's 6 things you got to be good at. And just like school, if you were going to give yourself a report card today, how would you do? How would you do when it comes to lead gen? Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer if you're a hard critic, if you're a little hard on yourself, then, you'll give yourself a tougher grade.
Absolutely.
And that's how I am. I'm definitely a little hard on myself. I have a pretty high standard. But give yourself a grade. When it comes to lead generation, how are you? Would you give yourself an A, a B, a C, D, or F? And go through and grade yourself on all of these. And this is just my belief. To have a long and lasting real estate career, you need to be an A or a B in every single category.
No question. And here's what I would recommend. Here's what I would highly recommend is grade yourself, be brutally honest, and then hook up with the loan professional, have him fill out the exact same thing, and together work on these things together. Don't go it alone. Go with somebody like-minded who has the same goals, dreams, and desires to help you help yourself, hold each other accountable, and have an amazing business, and teach each other things, and don't take criticism the right way, and take objections the right way. But accountability is where it's at, my friends. Whether it's somebody in your own industry or whatever it is, hook up with like-minded people who believe in the same things you believe in, who have the same passions you believe in, and just go to it. And don't let fear get in the way, and use accountability to help with that.
And the last slide, I'll close it out with the 4 questions, is why I've narrowed down real estate to just 6 core skills. It's kind of like Bruce Lee in a way. Think about this. When you get your real estate license, there's 1,000 different directions you can take off and run, and 1,000 different ways you could, pitfalls and areas you can make a wrong turn. So I try to take the whole real estate profession and just narrow it down to just 6 things. And I say just be good at these 6 things. Look at Bruce Lee saying. He says, I fear not the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. So the point is, you don't have to be good when you get your real estate license at 1,000 different things. You can't be. You pick a few things, and become a master. And that's the point. Become a master of 6 things. And think about it. If we just recapped it, what if you were a master at lead generation? Leads were flowing in. You mastered it. You're like, man, I got leads. I don't ever have to wait for the phone to ring. Now you take all these leads you're bringing in, and you put them in a database. Therefore, you're not wasting your money. You're not over-calling or double-calling. You're sending your reminders when you're supposed to. You're doing these email blast campaigns. So now your database is working great. Now all of a sudden, you got your prospecting scripts down. You're not sounding like a salesperson. You're calling up and you're getting a lot of face-to-faces, like Scott was just saying. Now when you get there, whether a buyer or seller, you can give them an automated presentation that makes them feel like you are the authority. You're the credible one. It's just not risky to go with you and give you that opportunity. And then from there, it's really just about handling the objections with the ones you're not going to get, and then just staying in touch and following up and just mastering these things.
Right on.
So that's it, my friend. We went 15
All right,
minutes
brother.
over.
Yeah, no, and a couple things here. And I want you guys to think about this, and I hope she's still on the call. Karen said, I bought a car and told the salesman I had 2 kids, 15 and 13. He hasn't called in 5 years, and I have bought 3 cars since then. Think about this when you're meeting with a potential buyer, a listing, a new listing, marketing to expireds, marketing to FSBOs, marketing to your database. Remember, guys, these guys know people, and they know people, and they know people. I mean, I think, we talked about having, if you had 200 people in your database and each person knows 60, that's 12,000 people that you could potentially come in contact with or that could be referred to you. So you cut that in half, right? 6,000. You cut it in half again, 3,000. Cut it in half again, 1,500. Cut it in half again, 750. Cut it in half again. You think that if you connect, engage, and interact with 200 of your past clients, that you couldn't get an extra 100 transactions a year? There's no question. Robbie, we got a lady in here, Suzanne. Well, I think Emily says, thank you so much for the webinar. I'm so glad I decided to listen. I appreciate, honored to have you here, Emily. Another terrific presentation. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Hey, guys, Robbie is a licensed real estate agent. He also is a coach for real estate agents all over the U.S. and soon to be probably Canada and Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii's U.S. But so I just wanted to, if anybody has, Robbie, is there a place that if anybody had any questions and wanted to talk to you, I know you offer a 45-minute.
We do.
Let's dissect things for a second. You have.
Yeah, well, what we do is 45-minute strategy sessions. If anybody is interested in their own one-on-one, this is not in a group setting. Obviously, today we can put close to 1,000 people on a call or a webinar because it's a group setting. But if anybody wants a little one-on-one attention, we have our hotline number to the Real Estate Academy, and that email address is great. It's info@realestateacademy, which ends in an I.com. And you can register to get a free 45-minute session.
Oh, Robbie, I forgot. For the 5 things that you ask every person, I got name, phone, email, date of birth. Is it where they work?
Yeah, what do they do for a living?
Where they do for a living. Okay, so I did get it right. Okay, so where they do for a living.
Help them.
What's that?
I said we want to help them. If they own a painting company or, the number one way to increase.
55. Okay, the lady that did 55,000. That's just amazing. So so that was the reality juggler. The other note I had was a lot of people are asking what database system. Whatever database system that you're going to use, I 100% agree with Robbie. There's some amazing systems out there, but they have a million bells and whistles. You need something that is going to be automated, very easy to use, and get your database into it that you actually can click a button and send them something. That's what it boils down to. But, this is a big one. Do not let it replace the phone. Pick up that phone and make the phone calls. I recommend personally, and I think Robbie would agree with me on this, at least 3 times a year, minimum 3 times a year, you should be calling your whole database to leave a message, to connect, engage, interact, go deep, friend them all on Facebook. I'm telling you, it doesn't take long to really, truly double, triple, and quadruple your business if you start engaging and really going deep with your clients that already know, like, and trust you, and just keep adding people to that. Best time to follow up, somebody asked, Robbie.
There's 2 good times. I always try to stay away from the afternoon. I think you can catch them first thing in the morning or early evening. Not big on during the day. But, I think what Scott was saying, the phone is the key to all of this. So I'd rather have you, even though if you say, hey, during the day is all I can do it, then it's better to do it during the day, even if it's not the peak time, than to not do it at all. So I would say probably early evenings are best, mornings probably second best, and then during the day is not that great. But again, do it versus don't do it.
Right on. So like somebody's saying, why not during the day? Well, your goal is to get them on the phone and say hello to them and actually talk to them. So you're probably going to get more voicemails during the day. I'm just guessing if they're at work, or that's the time that people don't have their phones on. So can you use Google Mail as I use Google Contacts, but I also put them in different places. So I just like to keep one solid database of people that know, like, and trust me, and I know if I email somebody, it automatically throws them into my database, and I always have that email. So that's why I use that. Good scripts for contacting your past database. I always recommend talking frog. Frog is, F is family, R is recreation, O is occupation, and G is goal. Goals, okay? Family, recreation, occupation, and goals. You can talk that. You can talk that with anybody at any time, anywhere, and it'll always start a conversation and usually turn into a great conversation. So,
yeah,
hey, Robbie, man, unbelievable stuff. I appreciate you, brother. Can't wait to dive deeper with some of your stuff and kind of go, good with scripts. And I know you're huge on accountability, and we hold each other accountable, and I appreciate that. And I'm just glad to have you part of my life, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, you too, man, and thank you for inviting me, and I hope everybody got something out of this. I'm sorry that we ran a little overtime, but again, thanks again, and I hope to be on here a little bit more often. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Dude, you're welcome back anytime you want to be here, brother. I love you, man.
All right, man. Thank you so much,
right,
guys, and you guys have a wonderful day.
Same time, same place next week. If you're joining us for the first time, join us at facebook.com/groups/agent mastermind, and we'll see you here next week. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.